Sycamore Street. A quiet, suburban cul-de-sac. White picket fences. Green lawns. American dream. Then the nightmare began. The house. Number 12. A two-story colonial. Normal. Ordinary. The Peterson family lived there. John. Susan. 2 kids. Perfect life. Perfect facade. Then they vanished. Gone. Without a trace. No note. No goodbye. Just empty. Neighbors? Confused. Concerned. They hadn't seen anything. Heard anything. The police? They went in. Routine check. Became something else. The scene? Disturbing. Unsettling. No signs of struggle. But something was off. The house? Felt cold. Empty. Like a tomb. The kids' rooms? Untouched. Toys still on the floor. Beds unmade. Susan's purse? On the kitchen counter. Wallet. Keys. Everything. John's laptop? Open. A strange document on the screen. Cryptic symbols. Unreadable. The basement? Locked. Sealed. They broke it open. What they found? Worse than they imagined. A room. Hidden. Soundproofed. Chains. Restraints. Instruments. Tools. Unrecognizable. Walls? Covered in strange markings. Blood? Maybe. The air? Thick. Heavy. Like something rotten. The police? They were shaken. This wasn't a missing persons case. This was something else. Something dark. Something twisted. The neighbors? They were questioned again. This time they remembered things. Whispers. Shouts. Late at night. A van. Dark. No license plate. John? He had changed. Distant. Withdrawn. Susan? She was scared. Nervous. Jumped at shadows. The kids? They were quiet. Too quiet. The police? They dug deeper. Into John's past. They found a history. Hidden. Buried. Arrests. Assault. Disturbing behavior. Pattern. A dark obsession. They found a website. Hidden. Encrypted. Forums. Dark. Twisted. People who shared his interests. They spoke of rituals. Of sacrifices. Of control. They spoke of a place. A hidden location. A meeting point. A place called the Sanctuary. The FBI? They got involved. This was bigger than they thought. They traced the website. The IP address. A dead end. The server? Offshore. Untraceable. The users? Anonymous. Ghosts. The police? They went back to the house. They searched again. This time they found something. Hidden. Behind a wall. A journal. John's journal. Inside, a confession. A descent into madness. He wrote of voices. Of visions. Of a dark calling. He wrote of the sanctuary. Place of power. Place of control. He wrote of Susan. His wife. His obsession. He wrote of the kids. His experiments. The FBI? They were horrified. This was a new level of depravity. They found more. Photos. Videos. Hidden. Disturbing. Unspeakable. The Peterson family? They weren't victims. They were subjects. John? He was the conductor. The artist. The master. Susan? She was the canvas. The tool. The sacrifice. The kids? They were the instruments. Then the twist. A new victim. A young woman. Found miles away. Ritualistically posed. Symbols carved into her skin. A symbol. The same symbol from John's journal. The police? They were racing against time. They had to find the sanctuary. They had to find John Peterson. They had to stop him. But they were too late. A message. A video. Sent to the FBI. John Peterson. His face. Calm. Serene. He spoke of the sanctuary. Place of power. Place of control. He spoke of his family. His creation. He spoke of the ritual. The final act. He held up a photo. Susan. And the kids. Their eyes? Empty. Hollow. Lifeless. He smiled. A chilling, predatory smile. They are waiting, he said, for the awakening. And then a map. A location. A place called The Hollow. The Hollow. The name. A chilling whisper on the video. hung in the air. A location, a destination. John Peterson's promised awakening. The FBI, they were on high alert. This wasn't just a hunt. It was a race against time. The map? Cryptic. A series of coordinates. A trail leading deep into the Appalachian Mountains. The Hollow? A remote, isolated region. Dense forests. Hidden valleys. A place where secrets could be buried deep. They moved in. Tactical teams. Drones. Helicopters. A full-scale operation. The search? A nightmare. The terrain was treacherous. The area vast. They found nothing. Just the silence. The oppressive silence of the ancient woods. Then they found a trail. Path. Narrow. Overgrown. Leading deeper. They followed it. Into the heart of the wilderness. They found a clearing. Hidden. Surrounded by towering trees. In the center, a structure. Not a building. Cavern. A natural cave, its entrance concealed by thick vines. Inside, a labyrinth. A maze of tunnels. Deep, dark. They went in, cautiously, their weapons drawn. The air? Heavy, damp, thick with the smell of earth and something else. Something metallic. They found symbols, carved into the walls. Ancient, unfamiliar. They found artifacts, bones, tools, ritualistic. They found a chamber, a central room, place of power. And in the center, an altar, a stone slab. On the slab, Susan Peterson. And the kids, their eyes open, lifeless, staring. Their bodies covered in the same symbols, the same markings. The FBI, they were horrified. This wasn't just murder. This was a ritual, a dark ceremony, a sacrifice. Then they found John Peterson. Not alive, not dead, something in between. He was bound, chained, to the altar, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. He spoke, in a voice that wasn't his. "The awakening has begun," he said. "The transformation is complete." He spoke of a being, an entity, ancient, powerful. He spoke of Susan, his wife, his vessel. He spoke of the kids, his offering. He spoke of the ritual, the final act, the transformation. The FBI, they didn't understand. They didn't want to understand. They tried to stop him, to free Susan and the kids. But it was too late. The chamber, it began to pulse, to vibrate. The symbols on the walls, they glowed, they pulsed. The altar, it began to rise, to levitate. The bodies, they began to change, to shift. Their skin peeled away, to reveal something else, something dark, something twisted, something inhuman. The FBI, they opened fire, but the bullets, they had no effect. The creatures, they moved with unnatural speed, unnatural strength. They were guardians. They were protectors. They were something else. John Peterson, he laughed, a chilling guttural sound. "You cannot stop it," he said. "The transformation is complete. The gate is open." From the depths of the cavern, a sound, a low rumbling growl. The ground shook. The air vibrated. Something was coming. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something hungry. The FBI, they were trapped. They were surrounded. They were terrified. They had stumbled upon something beyond human comprehension. They had witnessed the awakening. And then a figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, gaunt, its eyes glowing with an infernal light. It spoke in a voice that echoed through the cavern. "The offering is accepted," it said. "The transformation is complete." It reached out. Its hand, not human, clawed, scaled, touched Susan's body. And Susan, she opened her eyes glowing with the same infernal light. She spoke in the same voice as the figure. "We are one," she said. "We are legion." And then a message, a vision, sent to the FBI. A city, not their city. A city of shadows. A city of darkness. A city called the Obsidian City. And in the center of the city, a towering spire, a beacon, And at the top of the spire, a figure, a silhouette, John Peterson. But not John Peterson. Something else. Something more. And then a whisper, a chilling promise. The rain begins. The rain begins. The whisper, a chilling pronouncement, echoed from the vision. The Obsidian City, a name that chilled the FBI to the bone. Place of shadows, place of power. The cavern, a charnel house, a ritual site. The air thick with the stench of blood and something ancient, something wrong. Susan, now a vessel, her eyes glowing with the infernal light, moved with an unnatural grace. She was a puppet, a tool, a gateway. The creatures, once the Peterson children, now twisted parodies of humanity, stood guard, their inhuman eyes fixed on the FBI. They were the sentinels, the guardians. John Peterson, or what remained of him, bound to the altar, pulsed with an unholy energy. He was the conduit, the channel, the tall, gaunt figure, the entity, moved among them, a conductor orchestrating a dark symphony. Its voice, a guttural rasp, filled the cavern. The Obsidian City calls. It boomed. The reign of the Ancient Ones begins. The FBI, they were trapped. They were outmatched. They were witnessing the birth of something monstrous. They tried to fight, to resist, but their weapons were useless. Their bullets passed through the creatures like shadows. The cavern, it pulsed with an alien energy. The symbols on the walls glowed brighter. The altar levitated higher. The entity, it moved with impossible speed, its form shifting and blurring, its presence a suffocating wave of dread. It spoke to them, not with words, but with images, with visions, with nightmares. They saw the Obsidian City, a metropolis of shadows, a realm of darkness. They saw the Ancient Ones, beings of immense power, beings of unimaginable cruelty. They saw their plan, to consume this world, to reshape reality in their image. The FBI, they were breaking, their minds shattering, their souls withering. Then, a flicker of resistance, a surge of defiance. One agent, a woman named Agent Reyes, she stood her ground. She had seen the horrors. She had felt the dread. But she refused to yield. She remembered the journal, John Peterson's descent into madness. She remembered the symbols, the rituals. She remembered the name, the Hollow. It wasn't just a location. It was a key, a weakness. The Hollow, a place where the veil between worlds was thin, a place where the Ancient Ones could be summoned. But it was also a place where they could be banished. The symbols, they weren't just markings. They were a language, a code that could be used to control the entity, a code that could be used to close the gate. Agent Reyes, she understood. She saw the pattern, the connection. She knew what she had to do. She moved towards the altar, towards John Peterson, towards the conduit. The entity, it noticed her. It turned its glowing eyes upon her. "You cannot stop it," it hissed. "The transformation is complete. The gate is open." Agent Reyes, she ignored it. She focused on the symbols, on the code. She began to speak, to chant, to weave a counter-ritual. The cavern, it vibrated, pulsed. The creatures hissed. Susan, the vessel, moved towards her, her eyes glowing with an infernal light. Agent Reyes, she didn't flinch. She continued to chant. The symbols on the walls, they began to flicker, to dim. The altar, it began to descend, to tremble. John Peterson, he screamed, a sound of pure agony. The entity, it roared, a sound of pure rage. The creatures, they attacked, their inhuman forms lashing out. Agent Reyes, she didn't waver. She completed the chant. A surge of energy, a blinding light, a shockwave. The cavern, it shook, crumbled. The creatures recoiled. Susan, the vessel, collapsed. Her eyes dimmed. John Peterson, he disintegrated into dust. The entity screamed, a sound of pure frustration, tried to resist, to fight, but it was too late. The gate, it was closing. The Obsidian city, it began to fade, to dissolve. The vision is shattered. The cavern fell silent. Agent Reyes, she stood amidst the ruins, her body trembling, her mind reeling. She had won, but at a terrible cost. She had closed the gate, but she knew that the Ancient Ones were still out there, waiting, watching, planning, and then a message, final echo, a chilling promise, from the rubble, from the shadows, from the depths of the earth, a whisper, a name, Agent Reyes, and then a vision, a new location, a new destination, a place called the Black Archive, and in the center of the archive, a book bound in human skin, and inside the book, prophecy, a warning about Agent Reyes, a warning about her bloodline, a warning about the Ancient Ones, and their return. Archive, the name, a chilling whisper, a final echo, hung in the ruined cavern. Agent Reyes, her body trembling, her mind reeling, stared at the vision. A book, bound in human skin, a prophecy within, a warning about her bloodline, the Ancient Ones. They were not defeated. They were biding their time. They were waiting. The cavern, once a ritual site, now a tomb, pulsed with a residual, dark energy. The creatures, remnants of the Peterson children, lay still, their inhuman eyes vacant. Susan, the vessel, was gone, dissolved. Her body a husk, a gateway now sealed. Agent Reyes, her hand trembling, reached for her comms. Silence, static. The signal was dead. The FBI, they were gone, lost, trapped in the chaos of the awakening. She was alone, in the heart of the hollow, in the shadow of the Ancient Ones. The vision, it was persistent, a location, a destination, place of dark knowledge. The Black Archive, a repository of forbidden secrets, a library of ancient horrors. She had to go. She had to find the book. She had to understand the prophecy. She followed the vision, a trail of cryptic symbols, a path leading deeper into the mountains. The journey was a descent into madness. The landscape twisted. The shadows moved. The air hummed with an unseen presence. She found the archive, a structure of black stone, half buried in the earth, its entrance a gaping maw of darkness. Inside, a labyrinth of corridors, a maze of chambers, a vault of forbidden knowledge. The air was thick with the scent of decay and the rustle of unseen pages. The silence was broken only by the echo of her footsteps. She found the books, bound in human skin, inscribed with ancient symbols, filled with dark rituals. She found the artifacts, bones, skulls, instruments of torture, relics of forgotten gods. She found the prophecies, whispers of ancient beings, tales of cosmic horrors, and she found the book, the one from the vision. It was bound in the skin of a woman, her skin, inside, a chronicle of her bloodline, a lineage of wardens, a family of gatekeepers, a lineage that was now broken. She learned the truth. She was not just a descendant. She was a key, failsafe, her blood, her essence. It was the final seal, the ultimate barrier. Without her, the Ancient Ones could return. Without her, the gates would open. But the book also held a warning, prophecy of her downfall, a prophecy of her corruption, a prophecy of her transformation, a prophecy of her becoming one of them. The Ancient Ones? They were not just beings of power. They were beings of influence. They could corrupt. They could manipulate. They could transform. They had been doing it for centuries. They had infiltrated humanity. They had influenced history. They had shaped destiny. And now they were targeting her. She was the last line of defense, the final barrier. But she was also the ultimate prize. They wanted her. They needed her. They craved her. To corrupt her blood. To break the seal. To unleash their reign. She had to destroy the book. To erase the prophecy. To sever the connection. But the book was protected. Bound by ancient magic. Guarded by unseen forces. As she reached for the book, the archive began to shift. The walls pulsed. The shadows moved. From the depths of the archive, a voice echoed. A voice that was ancient. A voice that was familiar. "You cannot destroy it," it said. "It is your destiny." A figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, gaunt, its eyes glowing with an infernal light. It was the entity, but not the entity she had seen in the cavern. This was different, more refined, more human. It spoke to her, not with threats, but with promises. It offered her power, immortality, dominion. It offered her a place among them, a seat at the table of the ancient ones. It showed her visions of a world reshaped in their image, of a world ruled by darkness. It showed her her future, a future where she was not a warden, but a queen. Anya, her mind reeling, her soul trembling, faced a choice: destroy the book and erase her bloodline's purpose, or embrace the darkness and become a god. And as she stood at the precipice of her destiny, she saw a new vision, a vision of the future, a future where the ancient ones had won, a future where the world was consumed by darkness. And in the center of the darkness, a figure that looked like her. But her eyes, they were empty, hollow, and she smiled, a chilling, predatory smile. And then a whisper, "Join us, Agent Reyes, become one of us." "Join us, Agent Reyes, become one of us." The entity's voice, a silken whisper, coiled around her like a serpent, its words painting a seductive vision of power and dominion. Anya, standing amidst the suffocating darkness of the Black Archive, felt the ancient pull, the insidious temptation to embrace the darkness that had haunted her lineage. The vision of the future, a world consumed by shadow, a world ruled by a version of herself, a queen of obsidian and bone, flickered in her mind. It was a terrifying reflection, a stark reminder of the potential for corruption that lurked within her blood. But she also saw something else, a flicker of resistance, a spark of defiance, a memory of the lives lost, the Peterson family, the innocence consumed by the ancient one's hunger. "I will not," she said, her voice echoing through the silent chambers, firm and resolute. "I will not become a monster." The entity's form shifted, its human guise dissolving into a grotesque parody of flesh and shadow. Its glowing eyes burned with a cold, ancient fury. "You cannot defy your destiny," it hissed. "You are bound to us. Your blood is our key." Anya, her hand trembling, reached for the book bound in human skin. It pulsed with a dark energy, a living thing, whispering insidious promises of power. She understood. The book wasn't just a prophecy. It was a conduit, a bridge, a way for the ancient ones to influence her, to corrupt her. It wasn't just about her blood. It was about her will, about her choice. She looked at the entity, she looked at the book, and she looked inward, into the depths of her own soul. She saw the darkness, the ancient hunger, the insidious pull, but she also saw the light, the resilience, the strength of her humanity. She understood. The ancient ones didn't want a queen. They wanted a vessel, puppet, a gateway. They didn't want to rule the world. They wanted to reshape it, to erase humanity, to replace it with their own twisted image. And she, Agent Reyes, was the architect of their downfall. She wouldn't destroy the book. She wouldn't erase her bloodline. She would rewrite the prophecy. She wouldn't become a queen. She would become a shield, a barrier, a weapon. She wouldn't succumb to the darkness. She would wield it. She opened the book. The pages, filled with ancient symbols and cryptic verses, glowed with an unholy light. She didn't read the words. She felt them. She absorbed them. She understood their meaning. They weren't just a prophecy. They were a code, a language, a way to control the entity. She began to speak, not in the ancient tongue, but in her own voice, in the language of humanity. She spoke of defiance, of resilience, of the enduring strength of the human spirit. She spoke of hope, of compassion, of the power of love to overcome darkness. She spoke of the inherent beauty of humanity, the very thing the Ancient Ones sought to extinguish. The archive shuddered. The walls pulsed. The entity recoiled. The book glowed brighter, its dark energy resonating with her words, transforming, reshaping. The ancient symbols shifted, their meanings twisting, their power reversing. The entity screamed, its form flickering and dissolving, its power waning. "You cannot control us," it hissed. "We are beyond your comprehension." Anya, her voice rising, her power surging, ignored it. She spoke of freedom, of choice, of the right to exist. She spoke of the inherent worth of every human life. She spoke of the enduring legacy of humanity, a legacy that would not be erased. The book erupted in a blinding light, a wave of pure energy that washed over the archive, cleansing it of the ancient darkness. The entity screamed, a sound of pure agony, and then vanished, its presence erased, its influence severed. The archive fell silent. The darkness receded. The air cleared. Anya stood amidst the ruins, the book in her hands, its pages now blank, its dark energy neutralized. She had rewritten the prophecy. She had broken the cycle. She had severed the connection. She had not become a queen. She had become a guardian. She looked at the empty chambers, the silent corridors, the forgotten relics. She knew that the Ancient Ones were still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for their chance. But she also knew that they would never succeed. Not as long as she lived. She would be their barrier, their shield, their weapon. She would be the architect of their downfall. She turned and walked out of the black archive, into the dawn. The world outside was waiting, a world that had been touched by darkness, a world that would never be the same. And Anya, Agent Reyes, the descendant, the warden, the architect, walked into the light, ready to build a new future. A future where humanity would not be consumed, but would endure.